This masterclass is an introduction to sensory evaluation. This set of key tools and techniques that allow us to assess the characteristics and acceptability to consumers of food products. This is very important, not just for the food industry. You can develop the most nutritionally balanced food product, but if its target consumers do not like the product, it will not be successful in achieving its goals. Okay, there's the contents. Sensory. This word covers a broad range of sensory inputs, not just taste, which is sometimes said to be a synonym of, but it really isn't. All of senses are relevant. It turns out they're all to a greater or lesser extent relevant depending on the food concerned. Flavour is a key word here. Flavour is said to be a sensory modality. That is, it is composed of the aggregated inputs from a range of sensations. The appearance of food is important to its general attractiveness. There are 5 basic tastes, which more in a moment, but tens of thousands of different odours associated with food. Touch here mostly refers to mouthfeel, how the food feels to in the mouth. Hearing can be very important. Imagine crisps without the crunch. One of the reasons why airline food tastes so bland is thought to be the general background noise during the flight. All the other factors, such as the relatively dry air, are also important. These are the basic tastes, many of which you'll be familiar with. Polyols are sugar-related molecules that taste sweet, but are not capable of being digested by us to produce energy. An example is xylitol, which is often found in sugar-free chewing gum. The most well-known food alkaloid is probably caffeine, the bitter taste which we enjoy, but it's produced by flowering plants in the family Rubiaceae as a disincentive to animals that might eat the plant. MSG, monosodium glutamate, is an example of a food ingredient with a strong umami taste. Effectively, it's the sodium salt of the amino acid glutamine. Other factors are involved as well. So astringency dries the mouth. So if you have a cup of tea, your mouth feels a bit dry. That's because some certain molecules called polyphenols in the tea are precipitating proteins in your tongue. Pungent, affecting the organs of taste and smell with a sharp acrid sensation. Cooling, disseminates trigeminal sensations, of which more in a moment. And a classic example of this is yogurt mitigating the taste of a hot curry. So trigeminal sensations. The hotness of chilies is not a taste but a pain response. It is transmitted by cranial nerve 5, which responds to pain and damage, whereas taste is transmitted by cranial nerve 7. People who eat a lot of spicy food can be habituated to this sensation. The Scoville scale is used to determine the hotness of chilies. This was traditionally done using successive dilutions in water of the food. A human taste was sample the mixtures starting the most dilute until the hot taste became detectable. The fewer dilutions are needed, the hotter the food. These days the analysis is done mostly by looking for the specific molecules such as capsaicin, using techniques such as high performance liquid chromatography, HPLC, of which more later in the course. Okay, so describing flavour. This is a key step to understand the characteristics of flavours of different foods. A milkshake clearly has different characteristics to bread, but what are they? How would you describe them? Pause the video and jot down some characteristics of the experience of eating these foods. So pause the video for a second. Okay, we've unpaused, and here's some more examples. Pause the video and jot down some characteristics of each food. Okay, what we use that information for is to produce what's called a sensory vocabulary. It's the words used to describe the characteristics, describe a range of food, in this case specifically aimed at a particular type of food. The one here is commonly used in the food industry. You can click on it in the presentation and you can have a look at it. During the masterclass, you will be producing a smoothie using a range of ingredients supplied by us. You will then analyse the flavour based on sensory vocabulary and using a little Excel spreadsheet. Normally this would be done by asking classmates to taste your product. Current restrictions mean we can't do that, unfortunately. Hopefully we'll get past this by semester 2. Be using an Excel file to describe and analyse the characteristics of your smoothie. This file is in the Blackboard notes and you should upload it to your iPad so you can enter the information in directly. This is an introduction to sensory work. Later in the course you will do larger scale work in this area, hopefully using other people as your test subjects. There are a wide range of different sensory tests available, some of which, for example, test if consumers can tell similar products apart, which may look at how acceptable a product is to the consumer. In all cases we need to do a risk assessment, of which more in a moment. In food terms, this would include, for example, making sure people are not exposed to foods which they are allergenic to, hence the allergen form we've all been asked to complete. Normally, consideration of the ethics of research is needed, and participants need to provide consent and be made aware of the nature of the research. The tests we use are British standards, which you can access by the library, which we'll discuss again later in the course. Again, later in the course, I'm looking more details at the ethics system we use. As mentioned, we need to carry out risk assessments on all practical work. This has already been done for these standard labs, but for future projects, you will be doing these risk assessments. We can break this down into 2 issues, hazard and risk. Hazard being the type of harm that something can cause. For a strong acid, for example, might be able to cause burns. Okay, that's all the things popped up there. We can characterise risk as being high, medium or low, depending on a range of factors, including the skills and the experience of the worker involved. So again, an experienced lab worker using a concentrated acid is less at risk than somebody who has no background at all, for example. So this, in the latter case, we'll probably exclude such a person from this risk. Here's some activities. Have a think about the risks of these activities. Remember to consider the skills and experience if appropriate. Risk assessments are posted in various places, including the relevant Blackboard module, and you will be pointed to them for the activities you're doing in the labs. Yeah, there's various places where they will appear. Beyond that, we have specific guidance for food, including Safer Food, Better Business, which we will look at in the first year. And HACCP, Hazard Analysis of Critical Control Points, which you'll look at in much more detail in year 2. Okay, that's all for now. Thanks for listening.